This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trailer into Reaction. I honestly really want to like the DCEU. I really do. I grew up reading comic books, literally. As a child, my mother would buy them for me all the time. Then I grew to collect them on my own. And I actually started reading with comic books. And the earliest comic books I read were Batman comics. Really liked them. And I want them to get this right so much. But they keep doing things so contrary to that notion, it's infuriating to me. And it's why, as I've mentioned before, I won't see DCEU movies in theaters. They do not understand what they're doing. And keep in mind, when I say that, I don't mean that they have to follow my view, though I would prefer it because I'm awesome and I'm right. But it's the idea that I want to see organization. I want to see a plan. I don't like randomness in general. The universe is random. We are not. I like organization. I like to see organization in things. And the DCEU, as far as I can tell, is not organized, except for money. As in, that's all they want, and it's all they care about, and it drives everything. And it also drives me up the wall with them. So now let's look at the DCTU. I have no idea what to call it. DCTU being DC Televised Universe. Now, I also am not a fan of the DC shows on television. They're, on the whole, I don't think they're very good. They're tonally inconsistent and just not to my liking. And also another thing is that they air on the CW. And people like to crow about Greg Berlanti, one of the person who produced most of those DC shows on the CW, being some kind of uber producer. And if you base that upon the amount of shows he produces for the CW, then I guess that's accurate. But the ratings threshold for the CW is significantly lower than ABC, CBS, or NBC, or even Fox for that matter. So a show appearing on the CW is not necessarily saying this show is so highly rated and so this and so that. It's not. Give you an example of this. Supergirl started off not on the CW, but on CBS. CBS dropped Supergirl and they were going to cancel it. Why is that? Because the ratings were too low for CBS. The CW took that show, and it's just fine for them. Did the ratings for Supergirl increase drastically from the time it was dropped by CBS and picked up by the CW? I don't think it did at all. It's just that the ratings threshold for the CW is lower than the other networks. So therefore, you can have a Legends of Tomorrow flourish on the CW, while if you transfer that show to another network, it would probably fail. In fact, I would argue that virtually all of the DC shows on the CW would fail anywhere else. I have no doubt in my mind about that. So, my intent though is not to talk about the CW or the DCEU. It's to talk about DC Universe, which is essentially their streaming platform. And I think this is, again, a bad idea. Warner Brothers, as far as managing their DC properties goes, is full to bursting with bad ideas. What makes DC Universe such a bad idea, you may ask? It's that simply they're just doing things. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to what they do. But with DC Universe, it seems that they're creating shows and they're tonally all over the place, and it's just it seems, and I haven't seen any of them, by the way, nor do I have any pressing need to do so. They just don't engage me. I mean, ever since this.
Where's Batman? Fuck Batman.
I have pretty much lost interest. I don't care. But Swamp Thing recently released a teaser trailer, and that's always been a very interesting character to me, particularly in later iterations where he became this avatar of the earth, essentially, and became very mystical in nature. That's always fascinating. So I'm going to take a look today at the teaser trailer for DC Universe's Swamp Thing. Shark. As far as teasers go, that literally leaves everything to the imagination. It's an acknowledgement that they're doing something, which is deeply unsatisfying, if only because we know that already. The Swamp Thing, what little we could see, is heavily shaded. Looks fine, but it's more than the makeup and all that, so at this point I don't know what to think of it. Though I do know that this show was cut from 13 episodes to 10. Now that is potentially a good thing, because with the Marvel Netflix shows, they were always, well, at least initially, they began with 13 episodes each series. And that was problematic because they were trying to cram story in to justify the episode count. And as a result, many of the Marvel Netflix shows, even those I liked, seemed to be paced really badly, in a sense that they'd have these lulls, which was just irritating, and it made them even better shows like Daredevil, The Punisher, really, really boring. The idea of 10 episodes is frankly ideal. They shouldn't go any longer than 10 episodes, but I have no idea if that's why this change was made. We'll see. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trailer into Reaction. Peace.